making noise, talking about pro wrestling on the podcast. Big up boys, big loony guys, we be throwing down the rhymes, keeping it live, representing the Lone Star State every damn time.
Whoa, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Ring Rundown, round number 7. As always, I got my boy SP with me. What's up, big dog?
What's up, Dropkick Zombie? How you feeling today on this Saturday?
I'm feeling good, man. We got another special guest with us, the one and only PJ Garcia, XSP, the Extreme Street Preacher. What's up, big dog?
Ooh, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, man? I'm excited to have you with us, bro. Been knowing you for a while, bro. You know, I know you're a big wrestling fan, and it's good to have you join us to discuss some good old-fashioned American wrestling. And I shouldn't even say America, because we talk a lot about Japan and all that, too. That was a mistake.
I mean, not just Japan, but Mexico, Canada, Puerto Rico. I mean,
the world phenomena, the world wrestling, you know, entertainment, the world phenomena of professional wrestling.
I mean, wrestling is a global pandemic, I guess you could say, but in the good sense, not you know,
affected the world.
Yep.
We all get something out of it, and if you don't like wrestling, then you just.
Well, I mean, look at everything that wrestling is blended with. I mean, you got wrestling referenced in music videos, albums. I mean, you got some wrestlers who are also part-time rappers. I mean, wrestling makes its way into movies, TVs.
Yeah,
freaking street performers out in Mexico. I know they get there. I mean, there's a couple people that'll actually do their routines in the middle of the road at a red light for cars in the middle of the street to help gain money just to be able to put on shows.
I've seen those. Like, they get in full on like lucha style matches, like at a red light. That is so awesome. But let's go ahead and get to talking about PJ, bro. What you got going on, bro? How's everything been?
And music wise,
that's what I want to know about.
2 singles. I have a sludgy kind of doomy song called In a Hearse. I also have one called Old Souls. It's about there's scripturally based. The song there's a scripture that says that that their souls were never worn out of their sandals. So it kind of goes with that when you walk with God, you know, you don't run out. You know, you don't have when you walk with God, you don't you know, you're never in want, kind of, so to speak, and God continues to take you down that path. So that's what that's about. It's called Old Souls. That actually has Unknown Caprice on it from Oklahoma. And man, I got an awesome project coming for this October, and it's called And These Bones Live, and it's an all metal album, my second metal album, and I'm really excited for it.
That's what I was about to ask you, because I know a while back, I know you were really big like with the horrorcore scene. But you also yours has a big Christian flavor to it. So, but I remember for a while there, like I remember you telling me you were going to retire from rap to pursue more metal and heavier music. Is that still the route that you're going?
I'm not going to say I'm going to retire, because I still got a lot as far.
You said it to me that back then.
Maybe it was back then.
I think that was just your idea at the time.
I think at the time I was like, I'm going to focus more on writing, and which I have a book out as well called Shotgun Monday. I'm working on a second book called Midnight Paperboy. And you know, I think at the time I wanted to spend more time on that, but music is always calling. You know, it's always going to be something that's on the forefront, no matter what I do. Right now I'm getting a bachelor's in biblical studies. So that's always on the forefront as well. So like I've kind of stepped back from performing because I'm doing a lot of writing in that sense in school. But yeah, man, I'm always gonna do rap. I do love the metal music, and whenever I can record some of that, it takes longer to put together. But, man, I love it so much.
Yeah, because you actually
what's up?
That's because like metal, I guess, because you actually have instruments and there's a lot more integral parts to it. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah, so you're working on more than just a beat. You have to, like you said, formulate, the guitar work, the bass work, program drums, or different things like that. It's a little longer, but and the outcome is just so cool.
so like I know like you like back when I used to like when I used to listen to you and stuff, yours it was horrorcore, but like I said with a Christian undertone. Are you focusing more on the Christian aspect at this point, or are you still kind of doing the same little mesh?
Man, I'm doing the same thing. I don't even call myself a horrorcore rapper. It just somehow fits in there.
I
Like,
put that in there
I
with you
have a lot
because
of,
that's the first time I
and
saw you
it's
was
like,
at a horrorcore show.
oh no, and I get that, and I realize that a lot of people introduction to me what like performing with one of these names is real big in the horrorcore scene, and that's cool. I'm glad that people stopped to even listen. But as far as like what I've always been is just aggressive. I love aggressive music, the positive message. So if you saw me in that arena first, that's cool. Some people they've never seen me in that arena. They've seen me in a church or on a like a block party type thing. I kind of love being able to kind of be interwoven in all these different venues. But as far as recently, I haven't done a whole lot in the like with that crowd. I'm doing a lot more church shows recently. So I mean, and I think that's where I'm in the season of my life. I'm doing more the church shows than I am anywhere else.
That's pretty awesome because I remember like the first time I saw you, it was at an LSP show, or it may have been a Magic Ninja show. I'm not. It was
Okay.
one of them, and I remember sitting there listening to you, and you were singing. You had a song. I forgot which song it was, and I remember at the time I had just moved. I had just left the church myself, and I had moved to Austin, and I was listening. I was like, he's talking about Christian stuff. I was like, over here. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And then I went to talk
yeah,
to you, and I
that's cool.
thought it was cool to hear. I was like, I'm hearing stuff from of God at a horrorcore show. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
It
It's
could have
almost
been
like you,
a
you tried to run away, but just couldn't escape. That calling, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
What's up?
probably could have
What
been
is it?
an Austin Doer show that we saw
It was for sure. It
on
was
that.
at Kick Butt Coffee.
Yeah, because it could have been either like when Austin had Blaze out here when he was doing Cult Classic Horror Convention, or it could have been that Scum tour with A and B and Lex and Axe at Kick
Yeah,
Butt
I
Coffee.
remember. I
I
remember
think it
both
may
of
have
those
been
shows.
that one because I think Axe headlined that night. I want to
I
say
remember that show.
maybe it could have been that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's funny, man. Anytime Lex is in town, and we always get to talking, man. It's funny. We're not debating. We're just kind of going back and forth on life things and spiritual things. He's actually a really nice guy, man. I really enjoy talking to him whenever he does come through.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
oh, he
This
and
just
Scum as well, big homie of mine, man.
just to say, like with the ring rundown, we don't support any certain religion or anything like that or any idol. We respect everybody's beliefs, and no matter what that is. So I'm just gonna put that out there, if that's cool.
And anytime I'm on something, it's like, oh, what did they turn into a Christian podcast, or it's like,
It's not
hey,
like
man,
that.
I respect everybody as well. You know what I mean? And I know that um, anytime I'm on something that's not like Christian, it's like some of the audience kind of backs up, and I've seen that in shows as well. But man, I just love people.
Yeah,
Uh, that's really the gist of it. Is I love people because I know that I didn't love people before I met Jesus, and that's we'll just leave it at that. I mean, and I love wrestling, so and I'm glad I was asked to be on the show, and I know that wrestling can get super edgy too, and kind of walk the line or whatever, walk the edge, and it's fun to talk about because wrestling is really it's like a reflection of what's going on in society too.
Wrestling for
You got to have
everyone.
storylines that, you know what I mean?
yeah, and I like what SP just said. Wrestling is indeed for everyone. So
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
man, I'm glad you came on, bro. I saw your comment on our last episode, and it was like hint, hint. I was like, That's a no-brainer. Why I haven't asked him yet? And then I was like,
and I've had you on my podcast as well, so it's kind of weird.
I remember that too. Yeah, I remember
now.
being on your podcast as well. So I mean, it's awesome. I'm glad I was able to reciprocate the deed. So,
Yeah,
but well, y'all ready to get into some wrestling topics? All right. First of all,
what do we got for round one?
All right, as you guys all know, at the beginning of the year, we had these big releases going on, and one of them, which was Jinder Mahal, and his 90-day compete clause just ended. I think it was like a week ago, and he's already turned up in GCW. What's your thoughts on this, SP?
I think it's a great opportunity for him. It gives him, I like to call it, it's going to sound kind of corny, but it's true. The Matt Cardona opportunity, because I mean, when Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, got released from the WWE, I mean, I'm sure he probably thought his career was over. You know, all he knew was WWE was the end all be all. So he made two choices. He could either A, sulk himself into obscurity and just kind of never be heard or seen from again, or he could have done what he's doing now, and he went out, busted his ass to become essentially one of the biggest indie stars out there in the game right now, just killing it everywhere he goes. So
now, this ain't his first time this has happened to him. He's been released before, and he did the same thing.
No, definitely.
He did the same thing, and he built himself back, kind of just like what's his face did Drew Galloway.
Drew Galloway to Drew McIntyre. Yeah,
Drew McIntyre. At the same time, they were kind of in it at the same time, and they ended up building themselves back to the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him as a fit for like AEW, just how he is.
No, not quite yet, but he does have. Again, he's got the opportunity here to just crush it out the ballpark. Just like I said, just the same way Matt Cardona did. Because I mean, you look at him now. I mean, he's popping up everywhere, just about, and I mean, he's, I believe, one of the highest indie paid guys on the market right now. So
I can't see him signing right now is what I'm saying, but I can see him going the Matt Cardona way where he's everywhere, picking up doing big indies.
That's what I'm saying, is that he has a chance to follow in those footsteps and just go out and show, WWE what they missed out on by not pushing him to be a big star as they once did at the wrong time. He has the ability to be to be a big main event star. His physique, his ring, performance, everything about him screams main event. But at the time that they gave him the push in, what was it, 2016, 2017, whenever it was
around that time for sure, because I had just moved to Austin, so I know.
Yeah, I think it was around 2017 when they made him world champion, and that was a horrible run for him. So again, he's got the chance to go out and make even a bigger name and a splash for himself, and then kind of essentially end up hopefully being able to pull a Cody Rhodes and get called back to the WWE to become an actual legit champion with a legit run with the belt. So
what's your thoughts?
Nothing but the best for him.
When it comes to Jinder Mahal, like, I've never not been a fan of him. Like, even when he was in a 3MB and he was doing all this stuff, like, I've always been a fan. When he got cut and he cut back, like you said, he came back with like a leaner physique, and they're really pushing him as a heel. And but the thing with WWE, sometimes they drop the ball, is they don't let heels completely be heels. They want them to be somewhere in between. He has the ability, I think, to be an extreme heel. It doesn't matter about championships. All that matters is that he gets the crowd reaction. I know he can get the crowd reaction. And if they would just let him be a heel, which obviously not going to do that anymore because he's already in another organization. But if they work him as a heel and they don't try to give him the baby, like, kind of in between babyface heel, because the WWE does that a lot. But if he were to just continue to run that heel, like, he would. I mean, he was a good heel in WWE, man. Like, as far as I'm concerned, even. I think he could be a big heel, and like, I don't think he should try to go for that babyface run, or like everything is about getting a championship. Like, because I think he's way better of a heel than he is a babyface.
I can see, and I think GCW would be a good place for that because they're not afraid to go extreme on something. Like, I think that would be a place that's actually perfect for him. I want to see what he can do as like a heel persona, as like, what was his character? I'm a Punjabi, nightmare. You know what I'm saying? I can see that, and GCW would be a good opportunity for him to do that. I could also see him probably, and I know it may be weird because now TNA is kind of turned into the back door for NXT, but I could see him being pretty good in TNA. I could see him and Moose locking horns and doing some pretty cool stuff. What do you think about that?
Anywhere he goes, man, like he'll anywhere that he goes, he'll excel. Like, he has the work ethic, and because these other companies don't work as much as the WWE does, I think he has more room to grow and to showcase what he knows how to do. Because WWE has a style, and if you're not willing to get with that style, then you're probably not going to be raised up in the card as much as you would like to. But I think if he has a chance to really, hone his style and work on other projects as far as like in ring, like different opponent, he'd be good.
Like, the thing is, but I just, and I may be wrong, and I could be, I just don't see him being upper echelon or being really a good fit for AEW. AEW kind of, in a way, has a style too, and I think he's not quite. What do you think, SP?
Clumsy.
I think he could in AEW, but it's just hard to try to figure out where to put him in. I think the timing, the environment just needs to be a certain aspect. I don't know. Like, everything's about timing, So if it's the right time, it's the right time. If not, that time will definitely come along.
I just, because, and I could be wrong about this, but AEW is the work rate, promotion. And I'm not saying he doesn't have good work rate. He just doesn't have that worker's style, like, he's not doing a lot of top rope stuff. And I'm not saying there's, and that's more the guys that kind of get, like the big, that,
So I mean, that's kind of,
I'm trying not to say the wrong thing, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. So that's kind of where the contradictory aspect of WWE comes into play, because they
have that too now.
So this was also prior to the Triple H era. This was, the era beforehand, is that, they want your champions and your wrestlers to be 6 foot tall, just look like they're completely roided out, and ground and pound style, which Jinder Mahal has all those things, especially, when he went from skinny, kind of jobber, type of wrestler when he was in 3MB, to his release and coming back to becoming the Maharaja, or the Maharaja,
I want to see an extreme version of that.
Nightmare.
The Maharaja, but turned up to 10, in the indies.
Yeah. So he's got the physique and everything like that. The pre Triple H era, is looking for. I just think WWE's just right now kind of settling for. They're trying to find that balance between the, like I said, the big 6 foot roided out looking wrestlers, and your more kind of like your stout, performers as well too, that do have a good physical build to themselves. So it's kind of a pro and con on what they do with what kind of superstar they're looking for to try to push. So,
but at the end of the day, I'm interested to see what the guy's going to do. I've always rooted for Jinder, so we'll see. Speaking of TNA, changing things up, TNA's own Joe Hendry was on the Jericho podcast, and he vows that he will be taking on John Cena before he retires. A lot of people were thinking he's crazy because he's in TNA. He's not even in WWE. But as you guys know, especially right now, he's in NXT. He's on the like WWE superstar like roster page now. Joe Hendry.
I think he is going to be signed to WWE as soon as
Without
his
a doubt.
contract is.
He says he has
expired.
years still.
And I mean, he just popped up on this past NXT's show just this past Tuesday. So he has gotten over with the fans. So his natural overness with the fans is what's going to help him push to get that match with John Cena. And
I think he can do it too.
Next year, he will be in a match with John Cena. It could be, you know, a lower pay-per-view. It could be, you know, a backlash or maybe even a potential SummerSlam if he, you know, if he works for it. I think.
Well, I'll tell you what his plan is.
I think he could get one of the big 4 pay-per-views. Probably not a Rumble, definitely not a Rumble or a Mania, but I'm thinking a Survivor Series or a SummerSlam.
His plan is that if he beats Moose at Slammiversary, he said he's taking the mic, he's going to hold up the belt, and he's going to be like, John, I've been watching you since I was a kid. You know, he's going to do that whole spill. He's like, you've done everything in your career except one thing. And he's going to hold up the belt and he's going to say, do you want to cross the line? I got goosebumps just saying that, but that's his plan. Do you think John Cena will answer that call? What do you think, PJ?
Bro, who is this guy? Like,
oh God, get off the show!
Bro, who is this guy? Like,
if you say his name, he'll appear.
He's like the dude's like Beetlejuice. I mean,
he's Joe Hendry.
I saw him on NXT, and everyone's singing "I Believe in Joe Hendry." That's okay. I'm like, but who is he? You know what I mean? So when it comes to my opinion on John Cena, you know, the next basically the next Hulk Hogan of this generation. Who is this guy? You know, unless John Cena is like feeling very generous, he's not gonna get a you know, a match with John Cena. You know, I think his last match is gonna be someone like Randy Orton or someone.
We're not saying his last match. We're saying just fit him in there.
Fit him in there. Match, but before Cena,
either way, like I don't think he's unless, like I said, he's feeling really generous, which, you know.
Well, I can see just the thought of it. Okay, before John retires, I think next year, what way to think outside the box? And before I'm retired, I'm gonna go try to win another promotion's belt that's out of WWE. Wouldn't that be awesome? Booking. That is fantasy booking, but he's gonna try. Joe Hendry is like I think it's like a 15-year overnight success in the world of wrestling. He's been around a long time, but around like Europe. He's from Ireland. He was really big in ICW, What Culture Wrestling. He's making a huge splash right now, and like people that aren't even like wrestling fans are singing his entrance song. Like that's him singing that song. Like he's also a musician and he sings his own songs. He's like number 4 right now on iTunes. And like people are singing his songs and saying, I believe in Joe Hendry, but like without even being wrestling fans right now, they just really like the guy. The guy's funny. The guy's smart. He's the total package. Like he's going to be
in NXT. He did get a big pop. Like everybody popped hard. Like,
and that was his first time being anywhere around that big of a promotion.
It was like, but at the same time, I was like, man, who is this dude? Maybe I'm just not that hip to the like outside of WWE. Although I do watch other things like that, but it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, he's been doing this Joe Hendry thing for at least the last year. Because I remember, I believe last year when I would catch, TNA Impact or whatever, I remember this.
It's been the last 10 years. When he was in What Culture Pro Wrestling, he was singing himself to the ring. And he was saying he was Joe Hendry.
I never followed What Culture Wrestling and nothing like that. But like I said, it wasn't until last year when I first started hearing the name popping up. When I would catch a TNA Impact show, so.
Yeah, like, and he got over in like weird, unorthodox ways. Like when last time WWE was in Ireland, he bought 2 billboards next to like where SmackDown was, and he didn't put nothing else on it. He didn't put nothing else on the billboard but that face right there, him smiling. And they left those billboards up, and people were like stopping on the road and saying, if you say his name, he appears, and they would turn their phone to the picture right next to the WWE SmackDown sign. So
That's
like,
great. That was great advertising. That's investment in yourself. You know.
yeah, like he.
It seems like a super baby.
What was that? Oh, he cut out. Hang on, you cutting out, bro?
I would say he's a super baby face, like very.
No, he's not even a baby face. Like he's
Right.
actually a
I say
heel.
he's super baby face. Oh, he's not. Really? Well, it's maybe then he could fit in the then because they always want that kind of.
You have homework. Go look up his promos when he was joining TNA, like talking about like they were like this dude had passed away, and in one of the promos, and his wife was like, "The baby's not his," and then they were like, "Who is he? Who's the baby for?" And they say, "If you say his name," and he goes, they start Joe Hendry, and they start singing his song, and he comes through the window, alluding that he's the real father of the dude that just died in the hospital. Like, yeah,
I gotta check him out.
Yeah, he's actually a heel, but just everybody, the cool heel that everybody likes. Like he's such a nice guy and stuff, but he's really a piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? He has that whole thing going on.
Yeah,
But I think he's gonna get it. I think John Cena is gonna answer the call. Nothing major. It's not gonna be on a major WWE pay per view. Maybe one of the minor ones. That's kind of like a not even a main event, but a special attraction. But I think he can do it.
and he's gonna beat him in 2 minutes.
I think if he really pushes for it, I think he could be on the last 2 of the big 4 next year. I think he could do a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series.
And he's saying that he has TNA like on his side about doing stuff at WWE because he kind of said also on the podcast he still has years left over on his TNA contract. Mm-hmm. But he says they're willing to work with him. So, yeah, I'm interested to see. I believe in Joe Hendry. I know PJ don't, but I know SP does. We believe in Joe Hendry. More, man. Yeah, you'll get more. Don't worry. I understand where you're coming from, though. All right. Okay, so another thing, like switch back over to WWE, we saw an interesting segment with Dom and Mami kind of reenacting the Chyna and Eddie Guerrero segment that happened in WWE like how long ago? Had to be about
a while back, like a long
15 years ago.
That's what I was about to say, about 15 years. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Like, I thought it was a cool homage.
I thought it's so obviously since Rhea Ripley is not cleared just yet to compete. She won't be cleared until SummerSlam, which is a few weeks away still. This is good. It's just good backstage segments to keep people invested in the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan feud that's going on. And the fact that, I mean, they've kind of transitioned Dominic Mysterio into being Eddie Guerrero of the 2020s. I mean, he's got the old school Eddie Guerrero mullet from the mid to late 90s. You got Rhea Ripley, who's, just kind of like that big, tough dominatrix, badass who will kick your ass or whatever, just like Chyna. So it's good callback stuff. Kind of, it's to help bring in the nostalgia aspect for the fans.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. What do you think?
I love the thing that has to do with Dominic and Rhea and the whole Judgment Day because they all are so interesting characters, and then adding Liv Morgan. I think like we know how like when they talk about wrestling, like, oh, it's like a soap opera with body slams. Like to me, this is what's interesting. when it comes to Monday nights, and I always look forward to their segments because you know you're going to be entertained, and even like they don't even have to get in the ring for me. They don't have to
It's
get in
Carlito. It's Carlito. It's the
them
addition to
too.
Carlito that is adding to the humor. Carlito is essentially our truth for for the Judgment Day.
Yeah, and it's just great stuff, man. The stuff with the stretching,
I like a
even
little.
like
I like
and
a little. You know, I guess you could say romance and kind of soap opera romantic play in my wrestling. Call me weird.
It,
I do like a love
it,
story in
it,
the wrestling.
it's a
I
it's a rom
think
com. It's a rom
I
com
love a
movie.
good old
That's
fashioned
exactly what
wrestling
this
love
is.
story. And a love triangle, that's even better.
and now they're adding in what's his name? Jay? Is it
Jey
Jay
Uso.
Uso?
Oh, I
So
saw that
even
too.
with him too, man, that whole storyline is just really bubbling up, and I think it's gonna be good, man. I can't say nothing bad about Dominic and Rhea and their whole camps, their kind of everything that they're doing because it's funny.
Sorry,
And the matches
I just had to.
are good too because
I
there's
just
such
got
a
to
build
yeet
up.
on y'all.
I'm
Yeah,
yeeting right back. Yeeting right back. I'm a yeet. Oh, bruh.
and
Yeah.
that's great stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it's going
That's
to be
part of why I
good.
like wrestling.
We'll just see how it turns out. Now, keeping on with WWE, our next topic is the Wyatt Sick first in-ring segment. I thought that was great. Did we all see that? Okay, so what happens is Bo Dallas comes out
He gets called out to the ring
by
by Chad
Chad
Gable
Gable, gets jumped from behind by the Creed
of the
brothers,
Creed brothers.
getting his beat butt down. The dude's laughing the whole time, laughing, cackling while he's getting his butt kicked. And
Pretty
they,
much kind of like Jeff Hardy and his Willow character. 'Cause
yeah.
that's what that did, was just laughed anytime he got punched, kicked, dropped, whatever. Yeah, Bo Dallas just sit there and just laughing, cackling,
And
like
you
you
can see
said.
Chad getting concerned, like, why are you laughing? I'm beating the crap out of you. And
Oh yeah,
then
that's a great segment, man.
lights go down, the
They've
fog
been doing
comes
so
out,
much good stuff.
and here are the members of the Wyatt Six coming to the ring. On the ring apron, they get in. Looks like the Creed brothers and we're gonna stand their
No,
ground at first.
The Creed brothers left Chad Gable high and dry.
No. It looks like they were gonna stand their ground at first. They were rolling up their sleeves, and then they hauled ass, then Chad Gable hauled ass.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, is that they left Chad Gable out there to die.
For a minute there, it looked like they were ready to go down. It was getting ready to go down. I was like, yes, they're gonna fight. Then I saw them after he rolled their sleeves up. They're like, nah. They left, and Chad was like, oh, and he jumped out. So yeah, they're definitely. I'm ready to see.
Good storytelling.
But what I'm ready to see. Okay, so we saw Bo Dallas without his whole get up. Are we also going to see the rest of the Wyatt Six? Are they going to be mask off wrestling, or are they going to have?
I think that's where they're trying to figure out how they're going to start playing that aspect of, and what a lot of people are upset about, and I could understand this, as I could kind of understand where they're coming from, is that following week after the Wyatt Six's initial debut, which was the night after Clash at the Castle, there was no, that following week, after their debut, there was no follow up with what happened, backstage, like there was no explanation about, the wrestlers that were laid out, production staff, W executives, personnel, whatever. And then the following week, when Nikki Cross, or Sister Abigail came out and presented Michael Cole with the tape, there was no, like, oh my God, this looked, this, I can't tell who this person is, but they look familiar. So there's still little, small little follow-ups that WWE creative aren't taking into consideration. It's like every week they get amnesia with what happened the week prior involving the Wyatt Six.
Not a good sign.
It's not.
Not a good sign. But I don't know.
One
Maybe you
of the
think they
things I
should
like
have
about
maybe a wrestling mask set up. Like they're a version of their mask that's a wrestling mask. I wouldn't like that. I want to see a mask off. This is who we are. Like they've done it the whole
I don't know
time.
if you saw that. You saw that segment where all of them showed themselves without the masks on. And I think that's what they're doing with these tapes is they're showing the people under masks. And
Good point.
obviously I don't think they're gonna wrestle with the masks on. It's not necessary to. But I think what they're doing here is that long form storytelling. Building up some things. I know like this generation, they want everything.
Well, yeah, we understand that part, but there's no, like, I know what SP is saying is there's no like something happens, then it's like they forget about it. There's no, what's that, continuity with it. There's no continuity.
It's just that small little bit of continuity that they're missing in that. I think once they do start wrestling, I think their faces may kind of be like painted
Different.
to resemble, the characters that each of them are, so when, Nikki Cross, when she takes off, if she ever gets into wrestles, she'll take off her Sister Abigail mask, but her face will be painted up to look like the Sister Abigail mask or something like that, So same thing with Dexter Lumis,
Joe
Gacy, and Eric Rowan, and
but yeah, so I mean, we all know who they are, but it would be cool just in those video segment. They need to have their each own segment with how they ended up where they are now. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's what they're doing right now with the video tape stuff. Like Eric Rowan just had a segment.
Okay.
Yeah, and Rowan's was
and
just
he was like,
past Monday night.
He's doing his whole thing.
Okay, so I didn't watch this past Monday night. I'll be all out.
Like, his was, I just, I lost a brother, and then I thought everything was good again, and then I just lost another, So
yeah,
these tapes are doing like what PJ said, is they're explaining what is driving them to essentially the brink of insanity aspect of what's going on here.
All right, good. So at least they're doing that. But yeah, that is kind of weird. Like our whole production got destroyed. People look dead, and they're like, they ain't even. Now they did have some, but they did it on social media. Just people commenting on it, like wrestlers that, I left the arena and stuff. But it would have been cool if they would have had like showed that they had extra security at the building the next week. Like, we can't let that shit happen again. Something cool like that. But I definitely do see. I see what you're saying. They do need to every week. Like, who is this? They need to be like, no, that's that crazy woman that came out before everything got destroyed. Like, stay away, but I see what y'all saying. But Wyatt Sick6 is probably one of the, you got the Bloodline right there. I mean, you got the Dom and all. There's just a lot of good stories, man, and they're just another good story that's in the WWE right now. I'm sorry, SP. I'm sorry.
I'm agreeing with you. I mean,
I'm saying because they killing it, Brad. I know AEW. They need some of this, Brad. They need to rub off. AEW needs some of this action, bro.
No, trust me. I understand. I get it. I'm with you in the same boat like that as well too. But what I'm saying is these storylines that they got going in AEW is starting to pick up some steam. So
I'm loving the MJF
not out of this just yet. So,
well, we'll talk more about that in a second. Now I got some stale news. Moving on. We're gonna be like in our. I'm sorry. Go ahead, PJ.
I say that the Wyatt Sick6 is part of the reason why I tune in as well. Like, if I don't catch anything else, like say I'm doing something, I always make sure to go back on YouTube to see what happened with them. Mm-hmm. So like, they're the biggest highlight for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. And later on, about when we get to the AEW talk, SP's gonna he's got to confront PJ on something. Why he refuses, because I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't refuse to watch AEW. I just forget to, and I try to. PJ refuses to watch AEW. Why won't you give AEW a try, PJ?
Well, it's not so much that I haven't given it a try. I did. I tried to. It's just like at first it was cool. There was kind of a competition. Then it was like, okay, I don't know if you ever watched Botchamania. They're like constantly on like 60% of them are on Botchamania.
I did see that.
But not only that, but like even before it started to feel like when WCW was starting to go down the drain. It's like we got this big dude from WWE, and it's like okay, that's cool, but like he's they're not really relevant anymore. You know what I mean? Or they're not like they're kind of recycling stuff. Wrong. There's a lot of good guys. Like I like what's his name? Pentagon, or is it who it is? Pentagon?
Penta Zero Miedo?
Yeah. Well, Penta El Cero Miedo.
Yeah.
Miedo.
Like the way
And I like I think the Butcher and the Barber. I think that's what they're
Butcher
called.
and the
Butcher
Blade.
and Blade.
Butcher and the Barber.
Butcher and the Blade. I saw them.
I love them.
saw them and they were cool. You know, at the time there was a guy that they used to call American Psycho, Lance Hoyt, and he was in there. He was doing pretty good. And
Big Texas wrestler.
Seemed like
Big Texas wrestler.
Yeah, Lance Archer is still with the company, but he's kind of not happy. I mean, you know, he wants to be featured more on programming, and you know,
he deserves it.
Yeah,
I don't like. I'll tell you like this: Lance Archer. Not trying to skip or go on a tangent. I think he deserves way more than he do, because if you ever seen that dude live, I've never seen a dude live that gets it more than him. That what it takes to get people like he knows how professional wrestling, son. He knows how to get over. He knows how to, like, when he would come out through to Blind by Korn, bro. It was like, God, this dude's a badass when you just see him.
Yeah, and see, and what I do like about AEW is that they'll have people from like the local scene. They'll give them a shot. Like Thunder Rosa, I don't know if that's what they call her in there, but she's
Thunder Rosa. She's
they gave her like a shot, and now she's really picking up. She's on TV. There's some other guys that I used to see in local like San Antonio wrestling that are actually on TV now. So it's giving them an opportunity. But I don't know, man. Some of the storylines are just like, to me, it's like it doesn't make sense, like psychologically. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like, okay, you have a extreme death match, and it's like, but you haven't run the program enough to have where they're so in such animosity that you need this match. Well, it's like that's the first one that
you're kind of like me, but it's not the Botchamania stuff. I was watching it religiously, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I was watching it. I didn't even like during the like McMahon era when he was like firing people and stuff like that, like releasing some of my favorite wrestlers. Like WWE was like banned from my house. Like I would not allow it on my TV. Like, and I would talk so much crap about WWE. I hated it. And then stuff just started getting good. And then AEW was really good too. So I was watching both. And then I would watch AEW, but things just kind of slowed down and kind of became samey. And it just wasn't holding my interest as much. And then I remember one night when AEW was on, I had something else to do. I was like, I'll just go do that. I ain't worried about watching Dynamite tonight. I'll catch it next week. It's not a big deal. After that one night, I was so inconsistent. And I just couldn't. It's like, you know, and I know, not trying to bring up Christian stuff, but you know how people with church, they'll miss one Sunday, and then before you know it, it's been 3 years before they've gone back. It's kind of the same thing. And I'm trying so hard to like get back into it now, and I want to. I just watched the MJF and Will Ospreay match. We'll get to that No, we're getting to that now. We got to talk about that. Hang on. Let me get that. Let me
ask you, what is it that draws you to AEW over, let's say, a WWE? Like real quick, because I tried to, did, but it's like the storylines weren't there. Not NXT, then why AEW? Because those guys are fresh. They're really, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because they're hungrier. It seems like, but they're not using extra things to, like, they're too gimmicky. I feel like sometimes.
SP's asking what draws you to AEW so much.
I guess more on the actual wrestling itself. You know, I mean, yeah, you know, they've got the backstage, you know, segments and promos and character work and stuff like that. You know, the theatrics to it a little bit, not so much as WWE has, but you know, they're more focused on putting out excellent matches, not more about the like I said, the theatrics of the
Entertainment.
show. And I would WWE, like what Carlos said, is things on their end, just kind of started being a lot of repetitiveness, and AEW, was fresh, brand new, and I was getting sick and tired of the same old stuff that WWE was constantly
That's
putting
that
out.
at the time that was happening. That's where I was too, and that's why
And
AEW was like a godsend to me.
and so and AEW gets a lot of flack for these last couple years. Yeah, their attendance has dropped some bit, but they've got great workers. It's more about, again, pretty much just hands down, it's just more about the wrestling than the actual theatrics of what WWE puts out, because WWE is sports entertainment. They focus more on entertaining, whereas AEW, yes, it's entertaining, but they focus more on the matches and the wrestlers themselves.
Yeah, and I do care about the work rate too, and I probably need to. I don't know. I guess because like when I'm at a live show, that's the main thing I love is what I'm saying, what's going on in the ring. And I don't know. It just kind of changed for me. I do care about the work rate, but it's those storylines and all that stuff that I remember. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
mean,
What I
don't get me
don't like
wrong. So storylines play.
as
go ahead.
I was
What's
gonna say
so you know what
storylines.
okay? Let's see.
yeah, brother. Sorry,
Alan,
we're getting
I
cut
mean
off.
SP
Let's
first.
focus on the
Then
The storylines, yes, do play a pivotal role in any match. The build, the physicality to it, everything like that, the promo work, stuff like that. And yeah, while some of their storylines definitely do need some work a little bit on it, but the ones that do kill on the storylines is what helps keep me invested in AEW. Like right now, they've got the one going on with Swerve and essentially Team AEW versus Team Elite. You got one starting off now again with Undisputed Kingdom and Matt Taven and Mike Bennett with Roderick Strong against trying to almost re-recruit Kyle O'Reilly back to them, since Kyle O'Reilly has aligned himself with Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Ishii. That's just kind of kept me invested in it. This one now that they got going on with Mariah May and Tony Storm, and then as the picture on the screen with Will Ospreay and MJF, man, those are some really good storylines picking up right now. So
go watch that match, PJ.
I have to check it out, man. And I know that they do care more about the wrestling side. That's cool. I just want to be invested in the wrestling. I guess that's my end. And
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessary
that's where I'm at.
to
Thank you.
have a 30-foot barbed wire wall or something you can't really, you can't really predict. And I've seen that a lot in AEW where they're stacking 7 tables on top of each other and everything just looks silly. You know what I mean? And that's an older me. A younger me will be like, yeah, man, let's get
well, I
and
think
barbed
so.
wire cages and that kind of thing.
So don't forget, we've all everything that AEW now is we've all been exposed to via WWE, WCW, ECW, TNA wrestling, and all those other different promotions. So I could see where you're coming from about the hardcore stuff that AEW is doing now is so reminiscent of stuff that we've already seen from those different promotions. So I can see what you're saying. I think also just like what PJ said is, yeah, they care more about the wrestlers themselves as people than just a moneymaker like they do for WWE,
I feel that.
And something that we covered last week, was with Sasha Banks, where she, comparing why she likes AEW to WWE is WWE, unless you're like a John Cena or a Rock or Stone Cold, an Undertaker, whoever, trying to do side projects that you got booked for, even though, WWE knowing that, yeah, you went out and you got a talent agent, so you're trying to branch out to other opportunities. Unless you're one of those few big names trying to be able to do any side gigs, according to her, to Sasha, or Mercedes Moné was like trying to pull teeth. They just were fighting with her the entire time when she was trying to get these roles and everything like that. Where in AEW, if she needs to go home because she's got a sick mom or something personal she needs to take care of, Tony Khan's like, go ahead, go for it, So
yeah, I mean,
seems like
I can
there's definitely
imagine
more,
I'm sorry.
there's, to me in AEW, there's more opportunities to pursue outside endeavors.
I could definitely see AEW being the place that's better for the wrestler themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's good. That's why a lot of wrestlers that there's a lot of them that have chose AEW over WWE, and I can totally see why.
Not only that, but there's a not as hard of a schedule. I know
That's another
WWE,
thing.
I'm sure they're like 6 days a week or something like that.
Oh
Outside
yeah,
of
they're
their TV
like,
shows.
I think it's something like 252 days a year.
They've
They're on the
decreased
road
a
in
lot though.
WWE.
Also, they've
Huh?
decreased their schedule a lot too. But it's still more
Uh,
rigorous than anywhere else. But it's not as bad as it was, say, back in the '90s.
okay, so I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
so
they
you
were constantly
reduce,
on the road.
yeah, I mean, you reduce the time out on the road. You're still away from your family at least a
Yeah,
good solid 10 months out of the year. So
yeah. I can imagine it being the hustle and bustle of it. It has to be rough. But let's get to talking about this match right here. I just watched it. Was amazing. I
they
was
went a
invested
full
a
hour.
full
They went a full
59
hour.
minutes and 15 seconds of nonstop awesomeness. Like that Styles clash, which was controversial off the second rope. Man, that when he did that reverse Hurricane Rana to MJF and his head didn't hit and he stood back, I was like, oh man, that was awesome.
This
It was
was a hard. I mean, the fact that MJF had to be helped to the back with an oxygen
oxygen
tank.
mask, yeah, tank. Like,
I think I saw that picture online. People were like, why does he need an oxygen mask? I got friends on my Facebook page who are wrestlers they wrestle around the local area, and one of the guys that trained Shawn Michaels or with Shawn Michaels, his name's Rude Boy. He kind of was like, what does he need this oxygen for? I didn't see the match, but I'm guessing that he
You got
pushed
to.
himself to the point of exhaustion,
Oh,
so he
oh yeah.
needed a mask.
yeah, and I mean, it was just to make
You
it to
need to watch.
accentuate that. So,
So I went to a little wrestling trivia up at Pinballs up by our apartment just this past Wednesday night, and put they put they put Dynamite on, and that was the very first match. So I'm doing the trivia while looking up at the TV screen above me, checking out this match, and I'm like, okay, it's still going on. Look, oh wow, this match is still going on, and just an hour later, it finally ended, and I'm like, wow. And what I did see of the match was just like hard hitting, high flying, like reversal, final, and
false
then
finishes out the ass. But there was a little bit of controversy with it because Ospreay did 2 Styles clashes, and they called them Styles clashes on TV. Some fans got pissed off about it. It was like, why is he stealing moves?
AJ doesn't care.
AJ Styles
AJ
released
gave
a
it.
statement. He was like, that's
That's
so
cool.
dumb. He goes, why do y'all think I'd be upset about that? That is an ultimate form of flattery to me, like a paying homage. And
Yeah, it's a compliment, pretty much.
And I know Will Ospreay, like his biggest influence was the Asylum years in TNA. That's what got him into wrestling. So, I mean, it's just people worried about the wrong thing.
Cody Rhodes gives credit to Will Ospreay for the Cody cutter off of Will Ospreay's Oz cutter, you know? So he's like, Will Ospreay has no problem with Cody Rhodes using.
Let's not get too far into that, because that would be a good topic for next week. Wrestlers using other wrestlers' moves, and if people should be upset about that.
Okay, so let's make it here. Our topic for next week will be wrestlers using other wrestlers' moves. Is it good? Is it bad? What's your take on it? Let us know in the comments below.
No comments on it yet. We got to save that for next week.
No comments on it yet. But,
sorry, PJ. Looks like you want to comment.
So
I can say a whole lot, but
we have a topic for you later.
Yeah, any comments that you have, definitely post in the comment section of the video on YouTube. Let us know.
All right, so getting back to the match, though, it was just a fun match, just a hard hitting, trying to kill each other. Just it invested. I watched here, I was like, damn. And then, like I said,
there was no blood involved in it either, too, which was kind of a good thing.
That's good.
Not to incorporate.
We'll get to that in a minute. That is a big point that's a big point right there, but that's in our discussion later. And we could use this as a very good example, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, just big up to those guys, you know. People forget MJF just because his attitude and stuff, and just because he's a big personality, the man can go. He can flat go. He can work. Mm-hmm. But switching over to topics.
To him because of his attitude. And I guess that's supposed to be his character, which I try not to like look too much into the character, but he makes me want to watch it at all. You know what I mean? And I've seen some segments where I'm like, get this guy out of here. I just want to push his face. But I guess that's the reason.
That's what he wants, and you're playing into it. But
he got into a fight with the little kid when he turned on Daniel Garcia a couple weeks ago, when he actually went full on suit, tie, Burberry scarf, MJF, you know, character again. When he brought that back, he was getting into a fight. I mean, he was throwing trash on a fan and actually almost physically got into a fight with a fan out in the crowd.
He loves that shit too. Oh, he does. But I can say this. No, I'm not even going to say it. We just lost PJ. Oh. How did we lose PJ? Well, hopefully he'll pop back in. Is he still on? I think we lost PJ, man. There he is.
There he is.
I was like, did we piss him off? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good.
Right, cool, we got it?
Yeah, but yeah, and I was about to say something, but you know what? I'm not going to say it because I want people to believe this dude's an asshole, so I'm not even saying it. All right, going to our next topic. We got some stale news, some very bad news about Tyler Bate. He will be out with an injury for how long, SB? I didn't see how long.
For the rest of the year.
Ah, man.
Yeah, he tore something in his arm. I think a bicep or a pec or something, or a pec. I can't remember what it was that he tore. Maybe I don't remember, but yeah, he did. He does have a serious muscle tear, and he is out for the remainder of the year.
That's kind of stale, man, because they were getting some steam, him and old Pete Dunne there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that doesn't harm Pete Dunne at all. You know, now that his partner's out, I hope they still keep doing stuff with Petey there.
Pete Dunne and Sheamus are now going to war.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I like it. But yeah, that's just bad news, man. I hate to see the guy out. That's never good when a wrestler's injured and out, and because some people forget about people, and you know, I know that's a nightmare. If you're not there, they're forgetting about you. So, well, hopefully everything works out. I hope he can find a way to get back sooner. Speedy recovery, Tyler Bate. All right, moving on to our topic of discussion for today. This is our big topic: blading in professional wrestling. What's your thoughts on this?
Is that Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So do you know about the horrible, almost life-threatening blade job that Eddie Guerrero did to himself?
I think that was the one, probably, right?
Yeah.
It was that match against JBL. He took a massive chair shot from JBL while he was slumped over in the corner. He did the easy way to get blood in the match, which was the razor blade tactic. Unfortunately, he ended up going too deep and actually cut an artery in his head.
Yeah, like when it comes to blading, I like it.
Very careful.
You got to be careful. It's got to be done, but I feel like it needs to be more rare. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think only when it really counts. I know for a while there in wrestling, I'm not going to say the promotion because we've talked bad enough. They were getting color in like at least once a week.
That's not necessary. I know that I guess I'm from the old school. It's like before somebody even bleeds, you got to have like some build up, and I'm talking like 3 matches in, or the very last match, you build up this animosity, and okay, let's get some color.
Or let's have a first blood match. You know what I'm saying? It's those are the times.
That's usually like the end of the build up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like that's the last one in the series, and like you're saying, like it seemed like every time I looked on my social media feed, I seen guys from certain promotions like, why are they bleeding now? Like what? Like they just had a match last week and they were bleeding. Now this week they're bleeding again. Certain guys like I love John Moxley when he was in WWE, and he can work. He doesn't need to blade. He doesn't need to bleed. But somehow like he just wants to. Like he gets some kind of rush. And I think about, it comes to that, I think about, dude, you have a family now, or at least you have something close to a family. You're married. Like for me, I'm thinking like, okay, if I was a wrestler, this like I wouldn't want to disfigure my face because I don't know how my wife is gonna see me. I don't know how my children are gonna see me. Things like that. You know what I mean?
So that kind of is gonna go into our next topic, is the effects of blading, and just over the years and years of blading and what it does to your forehead. That's why I think that. So my wife, she was reading off, some news about it, and it's more prevalent to do the blading like along your hairline itself to kind of help keep your forehead alone. Because obviously via the images on your screen of Sabu and New Jack, if you're constantly doing it across your forehead, that's a lot of scar tissue, and that's technically kind of like a permanent boil that you have on your forehead from just the years of blading. I mean, these two aren't the only ones that have it. Dusty Rhodes has it. Former, no longer wrestler, psychopathic employee Corporal Robinson had it big time on his forehead.
Pondo.
Madman Pondo, Butcher. Just a plethora of wrestlers who have bladed over the years that, if you just one little poke to the forehead and they're instantly bleeding and stuff like that. So is anyone aware of the famous New Jack mass transit?
How can you not be? That's another point that I want to, before we describe that, I'm not a fan of, I wouldn't be a fan, like I wouldn't be, if I were a wrestler, I wouldn't let somebody give me color. I would always want to do it myself. I'm not a fan of other wrestlers gigging, you know what I'm saying, giving it to them for them. Like I've seen to where like they've done it, they pulled it out and they gigged for them. I believe a wrestler should always do it themselves.
I agree as well too. However, the New Jack mass transit instance is completely different.
Yeah.
New Jack felt disrespected by mass transit for coming up to New Jack and saying, I would, in our match, I would like to be able to get in some offense, which I understand where the guy is coming from, because we all New Jack loves to fight, and so he was probably like, I want to be able to get in there and at least be able to get in, a punch or two or something like that, whatever. And New Jack just took it and was like, oh, hell no, I'm about to almost kill you, essentially. And he ended up cutting
not the first time he did that
he ended up cutting 2 major arteries in the dude's head. And I believe ended up killing himself.
It was a geyser. It was squirting like crazy.
It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
That was on the. Have you ever seen the show on Vice, Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I watched that episode and I was just like, wow.
And probably watches Dark Side of the Ring.
And then he threw another wrestler, like, what was it, like 3 stories?
Vic Grimes. Yeah. So there was a spot that Vic Grimes was supposed to do with New Jack. Vic Grimes pussied out, essentially, and New Jack was like, okay, all right, I'll remember that. And yeah, they had that scaffolding match between the two of them. New Jack threw Vic Grimes off the scaffolding, and luckily for Vic Grimes, he hit the ropes first before falling outside of the ring. Like, New Jack had intentions of killing Vic Grimes.
I don't see why that man. I'm not trying, because I am a New Jack fan.
He was high off cocaine. He had a big cocaine habit.
I just don't see how that dude was never had some serious time. You know what I'm saying? Or got put in jail.
Oh no, he's had some serious time done. But
I knew he had went to jail, but it wasn't for that thing. I know he was a bounty hunter too. So like
something like that.
He was a bounty hunter, but I don't think he had any serious time in prison.
I think he did.
Not a lot, but where he's stabbed guys in the ring with like 10-inch blade and beat up an old. I think that's just punk status, man. Like to me, like, okay, there was some stuff he did in ECW that were good. Maybe even before that, I've seen some of the NWA stuff where he kind of like made it edgier. But dude, if you're gonna take liberties and nearly kill somebody, that's ridiculous. The rest think about that. It's never been. It's been about putting on a show, and this guy is not trying to put on a show. He's trying to kill somebody, like legit. He's lucky he didn't meet the wrong person. They did the same thing back because of his status or whatever his name. People are like, oh, like they just take it. I'm sorry, man, but if it was me, man, I think they would have taken liberties on me. I would have to fight back, regardless of what your wrestling status is.
But I mean,
XPW had a show out in California. It was like their we lost PJ again.
Yeah.
But I think I had mentioned this like on one of our earlier shows is I went to an XPW show, their Cold Day in Hell. It was like a big reunion show, and New Jack and his old ECW tag team partner, I can't remember what the dude's name is, but they were called the Gangstas, the original Gangstas in ECW, and they went to town on a tag team called the Trashmen or something like that. I can't remember who they were. I'm gonna have to rewatch it because this is making me want to go rewatch some of those violent hardcore matches of New Jack. Just to me, they were just always entertaining. But I mean, they were all 4 of the men were just a bloody mess, and New Jack kind of takes some liberties into his own and just wants to inflict as much pain and get as much blood as he can out of either himself or his opponents.
But coming back to the thing about gigging, like RIP New Jack, first off, but I feel like it, like for a while there, and I know I'm talking about AEW, they were doing it way too much. Like it was on a weekly basis. Somebody was going to be bleeding. I think it needs to be,
and a lot of times it was John Moxley that was doing some bleeding. So,
Or it was Nick Gage cutting, with a pizza cutter to
Chris Jericho
Chris
with the pizza
Jericho.
cutter,
Yeah.
and then goes to picture
then they
for a
run to the
promo of
pizza commercial.
Domino's.
Yeah, that was funny. And I mean, it was just too much for a little while. I just think,
it was hilarious, but Domino's got pissed off at AEW.
bruh, if I were Domino's, I would have put that in my commercial. Like, don't be this guy, eat our pizza. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would play into that.
So my other topic is, have you ever, like, who is a dead giveaway person that they're about to blade themselves?
Hulk Hogan,
Chris Jericho. Chris
Jericho.
Jericho is one of the biggest culprits of knowing when he's about to do it.
Wasn't there something that just recently happened?
He did it. So when it was most prevalent and noticeable was that penitentiary match that they had, that the Inner Circle had against the Pendulum with MJF and AEW when they were still at Daly's place, when Maxwell and Chris were up on top of the cage fighting. MJF had Chris Jericho, I believe, in the walls of Jericho, but you could see Chris, like, he's fidgeting around with his wrist and getting it pulled out and holding it, and then you could see him fiddling around with the wrist.
You gotta do that shit smoothly.
You know what? There's an old Hulk Hogan in TNA, and or it might have been WCW. I think Eric Bischoff was waiting to hit him with a chair. Before he hits him with a chair, Hulk Hogan turns around and he goes, and then he takes a really weak chair shot and it's like, come on, man.
Wasn't there an incident recently with Punk?
Yes, there is there is fan footage from Brawl In last year. Somebody sitting ringside right behind the announcer's table, filming Punk doing that after Joe throws him through the front of the announcer's desk. Yeah, you see Punk just sitting there, just kind of poking his head. Doesn't work, and then he finally just gives one really good hard jab into his forehead, and then you start seeing blood come pouring out of his face. So,
I mean, it's like not even hiding, bruh.
No. So what's funny is
as well.
So Abdullah the Butcher, have you seen his face? His are so deep and everything like that he's got the whelps on his forehead from it. So my wife was telling me this was that Abdullah would like to put poker chips or coins in those ridges to freak people out.
Good God. Wow. Another crazy thing I saw, like, I don't know if you guys know who Musada is. That freaked me out. Like, I remember, like, before the match at Wrestle Circus started with Musada, I knew the other wrestler, I forgot his name, but like he was a local guy, but he was he was a journeyman. He'd been everywhere. I can't remember his name, but we all knew his wife. His brother owned the promotion, and it was his little brother, but we all knew his wife, and like we would talk to her. Like, she was like, we were like, your husband's going against Masada, right? She's like, yeah, I know. And she's like, I already walked up to Masada and said, hell no, do not do it. She was like, he has an interview this week for a job that he really needs, that he really wants. And well, in the match, when they came out, the announcer, Loud and Noxious, came out, he was like, the next match is not for everyone. Any children, please go outside if you don't want to see this and you're a child, or anybody, you're not even a child. We will be entertaining people outside in the lobby or on the patio. And they sent Jervis, and Jervis was out there playing with the kids and taking pictures and stuff. Bruh, they come out, Musada knocks. I have video of it. I wish I would have put it on here. He gets the skewers out, bro, and just starts burying it in the dude's head, dude. Like, right in front of me, like, has his head on the rope, just burying. I'm like, good God. And then, like, he lets him go, and the skewers are just hanging out of the dude's head. The dude's like, and he's just like, pushing him in. And, like, I hear his wife, I told you no! Like, in the back, all the way from the back. It was the funniest thing ever. But, man, that's another guy, like, Texas wrestling legend Masada. Whoa, bro, he'll blow you up.
I really don't like skewer bit, man.
I don't like it neither.
Like,
it was cool to see right then, but I only want to see it once. I've seen him do it
live too. There's a wrestling promotion that used to be in San Antonio called Heavy Metal Wrestling.
Yeah, I went with you one time.
They brought him in a lot, and yeah, man, there's just a lot of damage in the ring when he. But I think he's a real respectful guy. So,
yeah, he is a good dude.
I don't think he's like
I met him on numerous occasions
where he's like doing it just to hurt somebody. But, yeah,
so
I don't like that spot.
So my wife was telling me is that they actually have something called the Muda scale, which is the scale that they use to judge how or the amount of blood in a match, and that is came about because the Great Muda wrestled Hiroshi Hase in Japan, and the amount of blood gushing from Muda's head was like nothing anybody had ever seen before. And since then, they've graded the amount of blood from a match from a person on that scale. It starts out obviously at 0.0, and then I believe it goes to 1. I believe it's just only those two numbers, just 0.0 and 1 or 1.0. And somewhere in between there is how they gauge on the scale, on the Muda scale. Is okay, is this worse? Do we need to create a new scale now, or is this lower than the Great Muda? So
that's pretty awesome. I didn't know there was a scale. That's interesting.
Neither did I. So that's definitely something.
Now every time I see blood, I'm going to be thinking of that, the Muda scale. Where's this rate? But
right.
But like, yeah, I like closing statements with this. Like, I believe. Well, these are my closing statements. I like it at times, but I think it needs to be done safely and rarely. It really, really matters, and I'm not a fan. I think the wrestlers should always do it to themselves and not let other people cut them. You know what I'm saying? I believe they should take, so there's no blame or there's nothing. They should always be the one to do it, albeit smoothly where the audience can't see and not make it obvious, and it should be done at the right time. You know what I'm saying? So what's your closing statement, PJ?
As far as blading is concerned, yeah, I think that it's not absolutely necessary to tell a good story, but I think to culminate a story, I think that it's ways that you can do. Now when it comes to like I've seen matches, man, like back in the day, like it was excessive, and it's like maybe the guy messed up or whatever. But I know that when I was younger, I used to be like, man, yeah, the more blood and guts, the better. But as I got older, and or even not that much older, like in my early 20s when I got married, I'm like these guys have kids, like I wouldn't want my dad to do that. You know what I mean? Or
so
actually, I was in a skit one time.
That's why there's. Go ahead.
All right, we're gonna get to yours. Let PJ finish, and then we're gonna get to yours.
I was in a skit one time where it was like, my daughter was like, I want to say she was like 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6, and I was thrown on a table, and I heard her go, "What are they doing to my dad?" And I'm like it was just a skit. Everything was controlled, but I got put through a table, and it was like I heard that, and I was like, man, I don't know how much I can be doing that, and so when I see these guys have, like I said, have families and things like that. Some people make it a whole lifestyle and they don't get married or whatever. But like I'm thinking like, okay, I think it's because my heart is different. It's like I look at it from that perspective of, these guys aren't going to be around very long if they end up cutting themselves like real deep and they end up bleeding to death, or they can't get out of the ring in time or whatever, or maybe like in these local shows or like more the less budget, they don't have the people there like nurses or a medical team to take care of them, and
I
like or in you know like the mass transit or whatever. Like you know, I'm sure they didn't have a medical team right away, and so that you know I think it's okay at times, but there's also that movie magic style stuff where like kind of Roman Reigns. I remember one time he
with
popped
the
like
blood
some kind of
capsule.
thing and was like he was like "Oh, yeah," and
It
it's
Ah,
was
like
a
okay,
it was a
but
blood it was a
you know, and
blood
that's cool
capsule
too. Like
that he got handed. Yeah.
yeah, so I
um,
mean, I think you could do it either way, but like you also said that it needs to be done by the person, not by the
Their
person
opponent.
they're facing. And I think Abdullah the Butcher had done something like that where he would be blading people just like without them even knowing. And I think he gave some people hepatitis or something like that. So that's not cool.
So
You know, they talking about people's lives that are on the line, man. We're creating a show. We're not trying to kill each other. Like that's where I guess that's where I stand with it. I'm a little more old school.
gotcha. SP, take it away.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying is that for the blading jobs and stuff like that, that's why it's more prevalent to do it along like your actual hairline because your hair will grow over it and you kind of cover it. But what PJ was going on about the hepatitis and stuff like that is that is one of the dangers of working a match where there is going to be blood involved because there was an instance that Undertaker was going against Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob Orton got involved and there was blood introduced in that match and Undertaker got mad and when the match was over because it was found out that Cowboy Bob Orton does have hepatitis and Undertaker was exposed to potentially getting that if he came in contact with the blood. So there are definitely uh health issues that could be associated with it. That's why I think they're trying to take more of a cautious approach with blading, make sure everybody's on board, make sure nobody has any ailments or blood, infections, diseases, stuff like that. So that way to keep everybody safe because it is possible. I mean, hell, kind of not to go off a wrestling topic, but Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson, when they got married, they used the same tattoo needle for both of them to tattoo, their names or whatever on their ring fingers, and Pam Anderson ended up contracting hepatitis from that. So it's the scariness is out there. So that's why yes, blading is definitely needs to be uh done very rarely and make sure all participants know the health issues or health safety for their opponents and themselves when introducing blood in a match. So
There's one more story before we close that I'll close out with. I don't know if y'all know the wrestler Hannibal.
mhm.
Hannibal had a match with Abdullah, one of his last matches, and he contracted. He was one of them that contracted hepatitis.
Yeah, that's
He
what
A couple months later, he got signed by the WWE, and when he was going through medical, they found it, and they let him go, and it pretty much ended his big wrestling career. It's because he
mhm.
contracted hepatitis from Abdullah.
Yeah. Also something interesting that my wife told me is that some wrestlers they'll actually take ibuprofen or will drink a beer or two before they go into
To
a
thin it
blood
out.
match to thin out their blood to get more come out. So
It's pretty cool. That is a good idea. But yeah, so blood and guts, man. Blood and guts. It's part of wrestling, but let's keep it rarely part of wrestling. All right, our next topic. Moving on to the stuff here. We got Cody Rhodes reacting to his part in the Young Bucks book. So, what can you tell us about this, SP?
yeah. So apparently Young Bucks in their book had, included the beginning stages meeting with Tony Khan to create All Elite Wrestling. And in the book, the Bucks stated, that Cody Rhodes was the last person to be signed to AEW, but um, Cody was actually one of the first people to meet Tony Khan. So the first two people that Tony Khan talked to and getting the stages set to build AEW was Matt Jackson and his wife. And then that is through how the communication started, that Cody Rhodes got involved in it. And Cody just so happened to be able to be the first one to meet Tony Khan through Cody Rhodes' agent. That's how that whole shindig started. And so
what was Cody's
Cody
actual
Rhodes
statement? Cody had released a statement. He goes, "Something I can't believe they said that. It was along that lines, I think."
Yeah, he's like, I don't like them saying that I was the last one to sign, because it doesn't, makes me sound. It doesn't sound like I was an integral part of AEW when I was. I was one of the creators, and founders of AEW, along with the Bucks and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, along with Tony Khan. And I mean, I get being upset, that somebody saying that, yeah, you were the last to sign, but at the same time, they're kind of not wrong. I mean, yeah, we got signed, and then Cody got signed, out of the four of us, out of ourselves, Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes.
That's one thing about Cody. I'll say this, that's not that they say that is not a big deal. I wouldn't even, if it were me, I wouldn't even thought about it that way. But that's one thing I gotta say, just watching him over the years and how people talk about him, seeing him on podcasts, people talk about him on podcasts. He seems to be a really sensitive guy. It's easy to hurt his feelings is what I got from him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He had an interview with Cole Cabana, and he was mad with Cole Cabana about over something. I think he does hold grudges and get his feelings hurt real. Just hearing some of the stuff he said.
And I mean, he's talked about, he said he's never going to discuss the full issue involving him and AEW as to why he left. That shit, he's just going to.
And that's another thing
between all parties involved.
That's another thing. He says, oh yeah, me and the Bucks are great. Me and Kenny's great. We're awesome. The Bucks say it too, but you can't tell me. I really have a feeling there's some animosity there. I think there's some. They're not saying it. They're not showing it to people, but I really do believe that their friendship and everything is definitely fractured, and there is a bit of animosity between the parties.
I would agree with that part as well.
And it's good on them for not showing people that and being we're cool, and not letting that that take the pro wrestling high news or whatever, that they're the headlines, I guess you could say, but still they may not act like it, but there is something there. I'm just going to say that. PJ, what do you think about this?
I don't really pay attention to the Young Bucks. I like Cody Rhodes' or what he's done.
Of course you do.
I know
he's in WWE.
People trip out on make fun of the Stardust character. I loved it. The fact that someone can be creative, also and slip into a character and slip out.
He
did not create that.
Made it the best he could, but
he's saying, take something and be 100 with it, even though you're not totally with it, but you can be 100 with it and make it into something. I thought that was great.
But
I paid attention a little bit of when he started the AEW stuff. Even then too, the American Nightmare character he developed there, that was great, and that was one of the cool things that drew me in to AEW at first. But this my time is limited sometimes when it's spent what I spend on TV, and so Monday nights are usually for WWE, and everything else is.
But about the situation, would you? If somebody said that you were last to sign something, would you kind of take that? Would that upset you? Say me, you, and him, we sign a podcast deal and or whatever, and then we say, oh, but PJ was the last to sign. Would that be taken as a diss to you or something negative?
No, I think that's kind of petty. I mean, if we were striving for something and I was the last one, what's the context for that? Is it that that I was reluctant and didn't really want to, or was
He
didn't
just
see
so
the
happened to be the last
potential.
guy that got the contract in his hands. Big deal.
Yeah, that's not really. Yeah, it's not really a big deal to me.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like, okay, I may have been the last to sign, but I signed. That's the key
yeah,
takeaway is I signed.
I wouldn't even thought of it that way. Like I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if I was the 150th. I signed. Like
like
I would have
Yeah,
read
that's
that
the
and
thing.
not even
what's
worried
the
about it.
intention for saying that?
I,
What's the Young Bucks' intention for saying that? They trying to
they
throw
were
him under the
just
bus or
telling the
something?
story. They were just telling the story in their book. Is all they were doing. I'm sure they didn't even think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was saying, there's enough information to be like, oh man, this guy is trying to throw me under the bus, or this team is trying to throw me under the bus.
That's one.
I don't really think.
And that goes back to say, like, I'm a huge fan of Cody Rhodes, but I really do. I think he's not saying it's always a bad thing, but I think he's a bit of a softy, like a sensitive guy. Like, I think it wouldn't take much to offend him or to like hurt his feelings. Because like I know he had a situation with Cole Cabana. Where Cole Cabana just said one little thing, all for Mark, didn't even think about it, like it was no big deal. And Cody like hated him forever, and he didn't know that. And Cody like said something like on TV, and he was like, "Bro, I thought we were buddies. Like, what the hell?" And then he had him on his podcast, and then he said it's because you said this. No, it wasn't even that. It's like I heard you said this to my dad when he was like when y'all were like, and it wasn't nothing big at all. Like when he was training you in NXT, and well in FCW when Colt was in development, and it was something very minute, and then he was like, "What?" Like for all you,
Yeah, something that just had no significant bearing on the whole situation. Just got taken way out of context.
yeah, and that's basically
Yeah.
all it
Yeah,
was.
I think if I
And
was
that's not the
Cody
first
Rhodes, I'd
time I've
just keep
heard that
moving.
about Cody. Like, he get mad at somebody and kind of like maybe not as extreme like hatred, but because CM Punk I think is the same way but more extreme and is more outwardly like I hate you for saying that. Cody's just more like, man, why would you say something like that? I can see him being that guy, kind of a softie. I'm just gonna say that. So, but I would have never even thought about that. Now I'm gonna switch over to the statement here. What can you tell me about this one? I read over it, and I'll see here.
This was just someone
Yeah, I know. That's the small. I can only get that size, or it was going to take over.
Air Gold, on Twitter said, "Oh yeah, Tony Khan just confirmed something that we knew all along. First people to ever talk to Tony Khan from the Elite were Matthew Jackson and his wife Dana, and Cody Souza says this guy here, and then in parentheses, Brian Wittenstein, who's off camera, was the first person to ever meet Tony. He said that's a lie. Tony Khan, the first person I talked to out of the Elite was Matt and Dana. They called me on July 3rd, 2018. After that, I met with Cody's agent because Matt reached out to Cody. So, and then in the little, blurb below, it's taken word for word. I mean, in there is no lie whatsoever. Matt and his wife, Dana, were the first to talk to Tony Khan on the phone. And in the book, it says, yes, we talked with Tony first, but Cody was the first person to actually meet Tony Khan, and
At the
that's
end of the
essentially
day,
what it is. So there's no lies mentioned whatsoever in there.
okay.
So
At the end of the day, this is high school. Who the hell even cares? Why are we even talking about this? Who gives a shit who met who first? Like, if I were Cody, I'd be embarrassed to even have this. Like, who cares? You're not even there anymore. Like, who gives a shit who met Tony Khan first? Like,
yeah, I mean,
That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. You just need to move on.
all Cody had to say was, yeah, I signed last, but I was the first person to meet Tony and I signed. Like, who cares if I'm first, second, last, whatever to sign? The point is I signed, but I actually got the one up because I got to meet the guy first prior to the Bucks and Omega.
But did Bucks mean anything about it? Like, oh, Cody was the last to sign? I don't think they did. They were just like, yeah.
I don't think so either.
Like, I don't think they probably didn't even think about like it was nothing significant. But like I said,
like was discussed, Cody kind of took it, and was just kind of a little, my feelings are hurt.
At the end of the day, I love you, Cody, but grow some thicker skin, dude. You're in the wrestling business. I'm sorry. I love Cody to death. Great guy, great everything. He's the American Nightmare, but come on, quit being so soft, my man. People are gonna say things. They're gonna keep saying things. I bet he is the one that like he reads on anything he does. He got a new podcast. I bet he reads the comments, and if anybody says anything, I bet he gets upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they don't like me. They didn't think that was a good podcast. The world we live in, you got to have some type of backbone, a thick skin. Not saying Cody don't, because he gets in the ring and does some awesome shit, and he's an awesome guy. But you have to have some thick skin about what other people say. And if you worried about that, your old friends, said like, "Oh, he was the last to sign." If you're taking time out today to think and worry about that, come on, dude. You're in the world of wrestling. Hell, you don't even have to be in the world of wrestling. The world we live in today, you cannot let words bother you that much unless they're significant. You know what I'm saying? Unless somebody's actually insulting you or actually saying something with ill will. But an offhand little comment like that, come on. But y'all want to move on, or do you have any closing statements about this?
Cody's a better place. I don't think that should have been just like, you know what I mean? Like just like, okay, whatever. Let's go.
I wasn't last to sign, but you know what? Whatever. All right, our next thing is AEW broadcasting on Max outside of the US and Canada. I'm jealous. I gotta watch this shit on a sketchy site because I don't have cable and I don't have $100 premium streaming service. So like I have Max. Like I VPN. I guess I have to invest in a VPN again. Well, go ahead, SP.
Yeah, so as of now, AEW is only available on Max internationally. That's anything outside of the US and Canada. So hey, if we wanted to go down to Mexico, we could go down to Mexico and watch some AEW on HBO Max, or
get a VPN.
Yeah, or through a VPN. So this is great news. So hopefully this means we will get something soon in a streaming deal for here in the US and Canada. So all their old content is available for your viewing pleasure if you're outside of the continental US and our neighbor to the north.
Shark VP. I'm downloading it now. Hang on, let me get my debit card. No, I'm just but yeah,
you would do something like that, huh? You would. You probably fall for those IRS tax scam phone calls all the time, don't you?
No, I don't. I don't even. As soon as I hear it, like bloop or whatever, I'm hanging up. But yeah, I'm just jealous, man, because I have HBO Max, and I would love to just put it on there and watch it. I have to go into these sketchy sites and try to dig for, or if I want a clip, go into go on YouTube and dig for a certain clip or a certain match I want to watch. Just, I don't know. I just, why not the US? And I know why. It's because they have their, Time Warner or whatever deal, that's ultimately why. But, just come on, man.
I'm sure something's being worked on.
I hope so.
I think they're trying to rework out the contract for their US for their contract on. They're renegotiating for their
Time Warner contract.
Yeah, with Time Warner for their distribution of their product. So I think once that gets finalized, then they'll start putting stuff up here in the States and the Great White North.
And I tell you like this, and I think that would get me to watch a lot more AEW because, bro, when I got to go turn my remote into a mouse, type in the web address, click remove ad, X out of a bunch of ads, then the video start. That's why I don't watch a lot of the wrestling that I should, is because of that. I actually watch a crap load because my mom has DirecTV back at my mom's house, so I'm watching wrestling the whole time I'm over there. But over here, I got to do all kind of sketchy stuff to try to get it on my TV. And so again, that would get me a lot more back invested in AEW. So we need that action here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think accessibility is a big thing when it comes to watching different wrestling. Like, because I watch MLW pay-per-views and they're on YouTube and they're free. And I watch that Ring of Reality Ortiz promotion because it's free on YouTube. And I mean, I don't catch AEW because it comes out weekly on cable, but I can't ever go back and watch. So it's like then you have to pay. I think you have to pay for the like the big events. So it's like I'm not invested enough to put money in it. But if they were available on a streaming site like that, I might pay more attention.
That's the way I feel. And a lot of people, like, what they fail to realize, yeah, a cable deal is big, but at this point, a streaming deal is just as big because a lot of people cut the cord years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have cable at my house. I just have everything streaming.
Well then, yeah. Well then, and then all your streaming sites, they started to jack up their prices.
That too.
And it's like, we chose you guys because you guys were lower than standard cable.
I remember back in the day, it was two. It was Hulu and Netflix. If you want to watch movies, you watch Netflix. If you want to watch TV shows, you watch Hulu. Now, everybody got their own freaking streaming service. And if you want to watch a certain piece of content, you got to have that streaming service. By the time you have all these streaming services, you have a, $100-something cable bill. Might as well, it sucks. But like, as far as talking with me, this would get me more invested into AEW if I could just get on my TV, go to apps, hit Max, boom, start watching. Instead of having to go all these clicking through ads and stuff, trying to get the video to play.
Honestly, I probably do the same thing.
I miss having HBO Max because I got it for free when I had AT&T for my cell phone.
Yeah, and I think now it's getting crazy.
The lowest price for the lowest bundle is like $15 a month.
Yeah, I have it, and I forget how high it is, but I have it I have Hulu, Disney, and ESPN because I watch MMA on ESPN. I forget how high it's.
You got that trio bundle.
They show you the introductory price, but a year after, that sucker hits me for $60 every month. It's gone up to $60 a month. Like, that's crazy.
And well, see, that's where your corporate greed comes into play. They don't have to charge that, but they know you want this. It's the supply and demand aspect.
It's insane. But, well, I mean, I'm happy for AEW that they're on there in other countries, but bring it over here, dang it! That's all I got to say about that. Our last topic for the evening is yet another Bloodline member just got signed. Samoan family member got signed to the WWE, and that is NJPW's own Hikuleo, the giant Samoan brother. So I guess he's going to be like the Muscle more so than Jacob Fatu. The dude is pushing 7 feet tall. So, yeah, he's a big boy. So I definitely see him. But, I mean, my question is, do we have enough Bloodline members at this point?
Yes.
Yeah, quick yes. Do we, I thought they were out by now.
I'm waiting for the clash of the old Bloodline with the new Bloodline. I'm
talking about the new Bloodline. He's most likely going to be a new Bloodline member. There's 4 members already.
I know, but I'm saying, like, with Roman Reigns at that charge of one and Solo Sikoa with the other one, when are they're gonna clash, or when are they gonna finally butt heads? Because that's what's brewing, I think.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
So it was originally estimated that that Roman Reigns along with the Usos were gonna return at SummerSlam. That's kind of been thrown up in the air now, and I think what they're doing with the Bloodline 2.0 going against Cody Rhodes, I think this is gonna build for a story of Cody and Roman teaming up, and along with the Usos to go against Bloodline 2.0.
I would like to see The Rock get in there instead of Cody.
I think that'll come in next year as well. I think that's when we're also gonna see the return of Paul Heyman, because Paul, he was taken out by being put through a table 2 weeks ago for not acknowledging Solo as the tribal chief.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Not trying to cut you off, but my theory with this is they're bringing him in because that, like, when it comes to like 8-man tag 4-on-4, I don't think we're gonna see Tama Tonga in the in the ring that much. There's a reason why they did that 6-man tag only and they left Tama Tonga out. I don't know if y'all seen that guy botches a lot. Like his in-ring work is pretty sloppy, and there's no like green argument there because he's been doing it a long time. He messed up that nut shot the other night and still hit his brother in the head. Like there's scissor reels of him botching stuff over and over and over. But I think maybe that's why it could be a reason why they're bringing Hikuleo in, because his work rate is a lot better and he's a big guy. So maybe we're going to see a lot more of Tama Tonga kind of outside the ring doing some shenanigans than actually in the ring working. That's just my thought. But what were you saying, SP?
No, so I think what they're building up to is when Roman does return with probably more than likely Paul Heyman and the Usos. I think this is going to force OG Bloodline, Roman and potentially Cody teaming up with OG Bloodline to take on Bloodline 2.0. So because last night on SmackDown, Kevin Owens was Cody Rhodes' tag team partner, and Tama Tonga Jacob Fatu was just hitting Kevin Owens with hip attacks in the corner over and over and over again while they were holding Cody Rhodes down. So this is, I think, going to force a coexisting, although turbulent, partnership between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes.
Okay, that would make
some
sense.
Diversity in those names that they got. Tonga Loa, Toma Tonga. I honestly don't know them apart because I haven't seen the.
But I thought they ran out. I forgot about him. What they gonna do next? They gonna bring in Bad Luck Fale? They're gonna bring him in there next. But yeah, I forgot about this guy right here. But I was like, oh yeah, I was like, there's yet another one that I forgot out there. I think they just scooped up the last one in here. So. But, I mean, I'm glad the guy's getting his due. He's leaving NJPW for WWE, so good on him.
So we actually have one more segment, and that's the little shot across the bow by AEW when they were in the UK. Or not, but when they were airing Raw in the UK.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. I'm so sorry. I forgot about that because I had everything listed here. And did I? Let me find something. I had a picture for it. You know what?
It's just the AEW WWE thing.
Yeah. Crap. We're just gonna do like this. Sorry, I'm doing some creating right here on the scene.
So what was it that actually happened? What shots did they take?
So Monday Night Raw was airing in the UK, and an advert for AEW All In London again this year was shown during a Monday Night Raw commercial break. So I thought that was kind of ingenious advertising on AEW's part to kind of slide that in there on a commercial break to remind people, hey, guess what? We sold out a 100,000 plus stadium compared to WWE, who couldn't even do the same thing over here. So,
hey, that's pretty cool on them, man. That's called guerrilla marketing, is what that's called.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're the only ones that do that. Whenever WrestleMania comes, all kinds of wrestlers pop up during that time period. They use the big hype of WrestleMania to be like, oh, well, there's this other smaller show that
right down the road from the venue.
Yeah, it's very close.
But on network TV. But on network TV during their ad break, you know what I'm saying? Those they're paying, you know what I'm saying? Those commercials aren't free. Somebody got to pay that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
that
same
comes out
tactic,
of
just on a bigger scale.
AEW's marketing budget.
Yeah. So yeah, they had to pay to get put on that network on that night. So that was definitely intentional and that was definitely genius. And that is called guerrilla marketing. And that's not the same as like, standing outside of SmackDown and be like, hey, check out our local
Yeah.
show. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the
Yep.
same.
I used to do that when I lived back out in California, helping promote for APW shows when they would come to my neck of the woods. Yep. Prior to a WWE show, whether it was a TV show or a house show, there was always an APW wrestler down there handing out flyers for their show, which fell on the same weekend or week that
This is kind of that.
WWE was in town.
This is kind of that, but to the 100th power. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like it though. Love it. I love competition, man. That's when we all, when there's people in competition, we all benefit from it.
Competition is good for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree there. But well, getting to the end here. So,
What was our topic for next week? What was our topic of discussion for next week?
It was wrestlers using other wrestlers' moves. Should you be
That's
mad
what it
about
was.
it, or should they be mad about it? Should people be upset about it? Well, PJ, man, we appreciate you coming on, bro. What's the name of your book that's out?
The name of my book is called Shotgun Monday, and I have 2 singles out. One's called In a Hearse. The other one is called Old Souls, like in the sole of your shoe. And you can find me on different social media platforms. Usually it's XSP 238, or you can go to my my Spotify, and I have links there. But THEXSP hyphen extreme with an X Street Preacher, and Google me, and you can find all my stuff there. So I think I'm the only one as far as the Extreme Street Preacher. So yeah, man, I'm happy to be here as well.
We'll have you on again at some point, brother.
I love talking wrestling. I would love to come back.
Awesome. All right. So our announcements are our topic for next week. Should wrestlers be mad at other wrestlers for using their moves? Please, you guys. We got more content coming soon. We're going to be working on it. We're going to be doing more IRL stuff as soon as I can have time to get around and my job ain't so consumed by work and it's our busy period. I cannot wait till the winter. But we're going to try to get out some more shows.
Winter is coming.
And I get to have more free time. So you guys remember, we appreciate everyone that watches us. Make sure you tell your friends, like, subscribe, comment. What's the situation with the shirts? Oh, how could I forget this? Shout out to SP. He had the great Von Erichs wearing our shirts. Shout out to the Von Erichs, man. That was awesome. Shout out to the Von Erichs.
I don't know if you can have a chance to pull up the picture off of Facebook or if I could shoot it to you real quick or.
Give me 5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds, y'all. Give me 5 seconds. I'm gonna hurry up with this. No, it was your wife that sent it to me. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. I'm gonna get it up. Keep talking, SP.
So last weekend there was a little there was a retro event in San Antonio that my wife and I went to. That the Von Erichs were there, so we had the pleasure of getting to see them perform in person. And I was dressed up as Santa. This was for an AEW Collision holiday bash. It's not one to.
I'm getting it.
Where you at? Here you are. So yeah, I got to talk to them, brought them a couple of the old. There you go. Some of the first run T-shirts that I gifted to them. They threw them on right there in the photo to help rep it, and they both subscribed to the podcast. They got a kick out of it, and were definitely humble. They loved the logo design. Kind of got to do a little off the cuff interview with them, which will be going up very soon. They are, yes, your current RCW out of San Antonio tag team champions. They are also going to be involved in the AEW shows in Arlington, along with the ROH pay-per-view Death Before Dishonor this coming Friday at the Arlington Sportatorium. Just really great, humble, really loved meeting their fans, man. If you ever get a chance to go out and see them, you do not have to worry about them being money hungry or going on celebrity status, man. They're just really great that you come out to meet them, and just can't say anything more nice, anything more complimentary about the Von Erich brothers, man. Just all around great human beings, very humble and respectful of the art of professional wrestling. So great to chat it up with them. And I will be going to their show tomorrow, so I will be capturing some IRL content there. Again, the little off the cuff interview that I did with them will be posted up on YouTube or Twitch or anywhere we could get it. And then also, me and my wife, we did a little mukbang at Bojangles. Carlos, I know how much you love Bojangles, being from
white people chicken, man. That's white people chicken
from North Carolina or wherever it was you moved back to from. But the only reason why I went there was to try to get their WWE cups, which unfortunately they did not get and will not be getting at all. So I would have started crying. We missed out on that, but we still filmed a little mukbang, talked about the meet and greet. They also this is at the Rolling Oaks Mall. They also have a store in there called the Wrestling Shop, which they actually are doing little shows out of their store. They have a small little ring set up inside their store where they do sell seats for it, and they got a show actually next Saturday at 1 p.m. So if you're in the San Antonio area, you want to go catch a dope wrestling show, go check them out. If you got any action figures or you want to buy, take it on down to them, man. They're looking for big collections. They'd much rather take in big collections than just small little one-off pieces. So if you're ever in the San Antonio area, go check them out at the Rolling Oaks Mall. They are on the second floor, right across from the food court. So,
yep, and awesome. Shout out to the Von Erichs, man. That's awesome. But yeah, so thank you once again to PJ. Y'all make sure y'all check out his music and his book. Please, everyone, like, comment, subscribe. We got more on the way for you guys.
Put in some input on wrestlers using other wrestlers' moves. Is it flattering? Is it offensive? What do you guys think? Let us know.
Thank you once again, PJ. You the man, bro.
Man. Thank you.
And without further ado, all right, you guys, signing out.
We two loony guys catching eyes with our hype, talking pro wrestling, making all the fans unite. In the ring we swing like a rhyme-making machine with moves so mean, leaving opponents in a dream. You're rocking the mic, flowing tight like a